All right, so the big questions that we raised this evening: has the Modi speech countered the opposition fire? We'd seen it especially, and we'll play some of those excerpts of Rahul Gandhi's speech that he had made yesterday in Parliament. Has he been able to, the Prime Minister, counter the opposition fire? One thing that can be surely said, viewers, in his 90-minute speech, and it raises a big question: was this an out-and-out political election pitch on the eve of Delhi going to vote? And with it, has the Prime Minister put himself on the BJP Delhi poll ticket? And wasn't what we heard today one of the most personal attacks on the Gandhis? And why no mention of the Kumbh tragedy in the Prime Minister's speech? Something that Akhilesh Yadav brought up in Parliament today and after the Prime Minister's speech as well. Let's cut across to our panelists this evening. Joining me, Ashutosh, columnist, author, political analyst; Rajat Sethi, political commentator; Dr. Syed Zafar Islam, national spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party; Madhu Gaur Yashki, former MP and spokesperson, Congress. Before we cut across to our political panelists, I want to go to our analysts first and very quickly give them a 30-second count to analyze the Prime Minister's speech. Vis-a-vis also Akhilesh Yadav, who spoke quite fiercely in Parliament. Two very fierce speeches. The Prime Minister, of course, Ashutosh, to begin with you, spoke on the budget that was rolled out, but largely that 90-minute speech today was an election pitch.
See, Preeti, after listening to Rahul Gandhi's speech yesterday, I was expecting that there should be some kind of a semblance of reconciliation from the Prime Minister itself, but I was hugely disappointed. What I listened from the Prime Minister is that, again, the same combative mood, again, the same political kind of speech. I hardly found anything different here. I must compliment that at least Rahul Gandhi tried to create a pitch where opposition and the government can work together in a constructive way to create some kind of paradigm for the future. But unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to say this, did not happen, and Prime Minister did not respond the way it should have been responded.
Okay. All right. I want to bring in Rajat Sethi. 30 seconds, Rajat Sethi. The Prime Minister's speech, Akhilesh in the morning, spoke of the numbers in the Kumbh tragedy. All of that in perspective with also Rahul Gandhi's speech yesterday. Like many are reading, that was reconciliatory. Prime Minister's was combative and political.
I don't think anybody prepares pitches for Prime Minister Modi. Prime Minister Modi makes his own pitch and bats on that pitch. He has ensured that he is going to, go after one of his rising ideological adversary, which is the Aam Aadmi Party. And he wanted to expose that and use the platform for doing it because he genuinely feels, that what has happened to the nation's capital territory is something which has held it back and shouldn't be the case. So I think he was making a pitch. Delhi goes to election tomorrow, and if given a chance, he will ensure that he puts entire might whenever he'll get an opportunity. Having said that, it was a budget session. He did talk about the budget. He did talk about various areas, right from drinking water to housing, etc., all encompassing schemes that he brings to the table, keeping the middle class in mind. So he again will create his own. He's not going to follow the script what Rahul Gandhi has laid before him. Rahul Gandhi can do his politics. Akhilesh Yadav did bring in an important topic, and I believe one of the leaders responsible, maybe the Home Minister or somebody, will come in and step in and do that response of what Akhilesh Yadav did. But Prime Minister, he is there as a leader. He is not there to follow anybody.
All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly dip in to the kind of reactions that came out right after the speech. There was, of course, Akhilesh Yadav who said, why didn't the Prime Minister speak on the Kumbh? And you can hark back, viewers, because the Prime Minister usually is very clear on what he speaks on. There was clamour that the Prime Minister speak on Manipur, but the Prime Minister chose the timing of his speech on when he wanted to address the Manipur issue. And this time as well, steering clear of the Kumbh tragedy. In all of this, I just want to tell our viewers that the Prime Minister tomorrow at about 11 a.m. will be at the Sangam taking the dip at the Holy Kumbh. But let's listen in to Priyanka Gandhi and Anurag Thakur, and we'll be back with our political analysts.
मुझे लग रहा है कि वो कट चुके हैं जनता से और जनता की जो ज़रूरतें हैं उनसे ये लग रहा था उनके भाषण से
और वो सच्चाइयां देश के सामने लाए कि कोई कुछ लोग, कुछ परिवार, कुछ पार्टियां केवल गरीबी हटाओ का नारा लगाती थी, गरीबी हटा नहीं पाए और प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने गरीबी देखी भी है और 25 करोड़ गरीबों को गरीबी रेखा से बाहर लाए। जो कल तक सवाल जातिवाद पे खड़ा करते थे, उन्होंने उस पर बहुत तंज नहीं कसा, लेकिन एक सवाल खड़ा किया है, कौन सा ऐसा दलित परिवार है, अनुसूचित जनजाति का परिवार है, जिसके एक परिवार के 3 सदस्य एक ही समय में संसद के सदस्य हों। और शायद उसने इतना तीखा दर्द दिया होगा, उत्तर ढूंढते ढूंढते तो।
All right, let's cut across to Dr. Syed Zafar Islam as well as Madhu Gaud Yashki. Dr. Islam, yesterday you had Rahul Gandhi, which some thought was a speech which focused more on policy, more on governance, less on political rhetoric, and definitely way lesser personal attacks on the Prime Minister. Today, what we saw was an intensely political speech. It's coming on the eve of Delhi elections, where the Prime Minister actually spoke of Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, launching a fierce attack. Number one, Dr. Islam, the Prime Minister has now put himself on the Delhi election ticket. And number two, do you not reckon that today was one of the most personal attacks that has been launched by the Prime Minister on the Gandhis?
Well, Preeti ji, it was the most appropriate response to Rahul Gandhi, because he exposed not only Rahul Gandhi but the entire Congress as well as the Aam Aadmi Party, because they pretend, they claim, they always sound something very different than but actually they are not. And Prime Minister during his speech had exposed both Congress Party as well as Aap Party when he posed this question that, tell me, if there is any ST or SC family who has 3 members in the parliament, none. But even I will go one step ahead. Today I clicked a picture of when Akhilesh Yadav was speaking. Behind him was Dharmender Yadav. Behind him was his wife Dimple Yadav. See, these 3 people from the same family sitting there in the parliament, while they say that they work for the society, they work for a community or society as large, but they don't. They have never worked for the society. They have worked only for the family. The Prime Minister has spoken about the achievements of India government in last 10-11 years, because he said that all the slogans we have heard right from our childhood, that Garibi Hatao, Garib Hatao, but no one has actually put in any effort. It was only mere a slogan, empty slogan. But last 11 years we are putting efforts to end poverty, and 25 crore people have come out of the poverty line. That's an achievement. Likewise, he has also spoken about many other achievements which the government has achieved under his leadership last 10 years. And it is important for people to know that Rahul Gandhi had made some statements, particularly about China, was very, very foolish and childish to make such kind of a statement on the floor of the parliament, because it was away from the reality and truth, but he just created unnecessary issues for the global media and for the local media, which was totally unwarranted. So the Prime Minister had to speak about it when the budget session is there. He had to speak about our achievement. He had to speak how we have uplifted the marginalized section of the society, what we have done for the middle class, what we have done for the country, and how we have been able to take the country forward together with a collective effort. But opposition needs to be more sensible, more responsible, they should demonstrate sincerity towards the country which they are lacking, and that is why something which they time and again they make noise, which is empty noise, unnecessary. They make such noise.
Madhu Gaud Yashki, I would reckon the messaging would be very clear from the Prime Minister's speech, especially coming at the back of your leader's speech yesterday, that at least the Prime Minister and the BJP is in no mood for reconciliation, because there seemed to be, a sense with Rahul Gandhi, with, no attacks, personal attacks on the Prime Minister. Very, very different Rahul Gandhi yesterday, where somewhere down the line he even admitted the failings of his own governments in the past. But today, it was classic Prime Minister in Parliament. It was no holds barred. And many would suggest, where he spoke about the book, and the excerpts of that book have now come out, especially vis-a-vis Nehru, that it was intensely personal.
Preeti, it's very sad to hear the Prime Minister of India, third term, same Jhota promises. Which dharam, Hindu dharam, teaches a stature of Prime Minister, speaking about the leaders who are no more. They can't come and defend. It's not uncalled for a Prime Minister to say that. And the same rhetoric speech, he's continuously good doing it. We thought that ab ki baar 400 par jhoot hone ke baad, we expected Prime Minister to be more a statesman than a politician. For a Prime Minister, it's only elections is matter. Country is second for him and the BJP party. They talked about the real development because of the uplifting the poor. If that is so, why 80 crores population still receiving free ration? He talked about Swachh Bharat, 12 crores toilets. Their own CAG report of 20 says, Preeti, 6 crores toilets have no water and 70% of those toilets are no use. Out of Jal, Nal Se Jal, 12 crores connection is talking about. 6 crores Nal, there's no water, either contaminated water, there's no water providing through those nulls. He talks about Make in India. What Rahul Gandhi as a responsible leader of opposition said it. It's a good slogan, but where is the manufacturing sector? During UPA, 16.7% GDP growth in manufacture, now you're down to 15.9%. Make in India become an assemble in India. Your subsidies, the entire India sovereignty, you're putting in front of China. Not only just you giving the land they occupied, but manufacturing sector, 80% of your smartphones assembling in India, these parts comes from China. Your EV batteries and solar panels also coming from China. India claims to be leader of the world's pharmaceutical sector. 65% of the raw materials coming from China. His own Gujarat, where the tiles manufacturing used to be done in Gujarat, but so in Surat, now when he was chief minister, he promoted so much of China products, and it's China products importing, and the sector, manufacturing sector in Gujarat was shut down. So this entire rhetoric, Preeti, rather we thought like after Zameen pe aayega, jab 400 saal nahi gaya, and he has coalition government, BJP can't make his own government, we thought he will address unemployment, which he didn't do it, rural employment, which he didn't talk about it. The points which raised by Rahul Gandhi, be it in a Maharashtra elections, how come in 5 years, 32 lakh voters been added, in 5 months, 39 new voters been added, he didn't address it. He is using CBI, income tax department to target opposition leaders, and his entire speech is political.
All right, Mr. Yashki, I'll circle back to you. You know, let's break it down. I want to bring in Ashutosh, and I want to pull you in on this because you've been watching the Delhi elections very closely. The Prime Minister today also took the platform in Parliament to actually speak of the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal. By doing so in Parliament, it's not an election rally, Ashutosh. The last time around in 2020, you had an Amit Shah who did 23 rallies. Amit Shah was the face of the Delhi campaign. Has the Prime Minister now, because in rallies he's gone after Arvind Kejriwal, after the Aam Aadmi Party, and today on the eve of Delhi voting in Parliament he's done the same. Has he now practically for all technical purposes put his face on the Delhi election ticket?
No, Preeti, I don't agree to that point, because the Prime Minister after the Parliament election has been trying to keeping himself away from the limelight during the elections. He is campaigning for the party because he is the supreme leader of the party. Obviously, he has to campaign. But in Haryana election, in Maharashtra election, Prime Minister was there, but not the same Prime Minister who had gone to the Himachal Pradesh and said, don't vote for anybody, but vote for me. It did not work. In Karnataka, he did the same thing. It did not work. In Telangana, it did not work. So, and in Parliament election, the Prime Minister was struggling in his own constituency. It was the most humiliating victory by any Prime Minister in the last 3-4 decades, where when the people were expecting that he will win with a margin of 10 lakh vote, it was shrunk to 2 lakh votes. So the Prime Minister has also realized, and it is not a joke that the organizer has written almost in 2023, that the Prime Minister's face doesn't get votes and you can't win election. These are not my words, these are the words of the organizer, which is supposed to be the mouthpiece of RSS. The RSS has stepped in. There's no doubt about it. RSS worked extra hard in Haryana. RSS worked extra hard in Maharashtra. And RSS is again working hard in Delhi. What information goes, which has been reported by the newspaper, almost 55,000 बैठक RSS के लोगों ने की है. So the Prime Minister might have used the Parliament platform to seek votes for the Delhi elections. But unfortunate part is that when the country is struggling with economic crisis, when the unemployment is highest 9.2, as I said yesterday, again I'm repeat, the net FDI has shrunk to the lowest in 12 years. It is $14.5 billion, whereas a few years back it was 32.8. The FDI inflow was 48, repatriation was $34 billion. So this is the lowest ever in last 12 years. But the Prime Minister has not addressed.
Okay. All right. Dr. Syed Islam wants to come in, but I want to bring in Rajat Sethi, Dr. Zafar Islam, and then I'll come to you right after that. Rajat Sethi, you want to weigh in on what Ashutosh was saying? But, Ashutosh, on that sense, today when you, for the first time in Delhi, when you are traveling, you're actually seeing the Prime Minister on every hoarding, every poster, every bus stop when it comes down to the Delhi elections. But, that's separate. But Rajat Sethi, you want to come in? Possible that the Prime Minister should have spoken and touched on various issues of the economy, keeping in mind it's coming in the budget session, rather than make it a completely what is, seemingly looks like a political election speech.
Well, first of all, let me correct Ashutosh Ji when he said that no other Prime Minister candidate has lost with this big a margin in 3-4 decades. Out of those 3 decades, we've seen 1 decade. You, sir, please allow me to speak. You referred to, in those 3 decades, 1 decade was occupied by late Manmohan Singh. He never contested an election. Gujral sir never contested an election. Deve Gowda barely won by 2 lakh odd votes during that election in 1996 and in 1998. So, factually, you have to be correct when you are trying to make a hyperbolic statement. Prime Minister Modi knows his politics really well, much better than all of us put together. He chose his battle. He sees an opportunity in Delhi, and he wants perhaps to give everything that he has, politically speaking, to ensure that the attack is seething, is unrelenting that way, and he goes and targets and at least reaches out to as many Delhi voters as possible. And he would use every platform in doing that. You can debate whether it is right or wrong, depending on what side of aisle you are, but he remains consistent in his message. He repeats his message. For common voters, he connects with them, and he ensures that whatever value proposition that he needs to put on the table before Delhi voters, he will go to any extent to do that. You might find a flaw in it. He is brazen about it, and he is proud about it. Again, let's settle that debate over there. It was, again, a 1.5 hour long debate. He touched upon various aspects, including the budgetary allocations, including, a fairly long tenure that he has been a prime minister, and what has been the achievements and what has been his mantra to governance. He has brought in every aspect. Now, you need to pick and choose what suits best. He gave in a blistering attack against the Gandhi family, and he will continue to do that because, again, as I said, he will go after his political adversaries to the greatest extent that he can, and he was doing, he was bringing back certain things about Nehru's dealing of foreign policy, because his dealing of foreign policy was called in by Rahul Gandhi, which was a below-the-belt remark by Rahul Gandhi. You might want to see that Rahul Gandhi, he's risen up as a leader yet again and has crossed or transcended the boundaries of politics. But let me tell you what statement that Rahul Gandhi made, that Jaishankar was begging for an appointment. That is shameful and below the belt, and that needs to be called out. And Prime Minister did well to call out what this family has been doing on the front of foreign policy management.
All right.
So let us leave it at that.
All right. Ashutosh wanted to come in for a correction, and I'll go to Dr. Syed Zafar Islam. Ashutosh, this 10 seconds, sir.
Yeah, Manmohan Singh did not contest parliament election. Atal Bihari Vajpayee contested election in 2004.
So do not make sweeping statements.
I'll come back to you, Rajat. Let him finish.
Do not make sweeping statements.
I'm just saying. Please hold on.
But Ashutosh, you made a hyperbolic statement.
Okay, one second. Rajat, allow him to finish and I'll come right back to you. Sir, 10 seconds and I'll give Rajat 20 to complete.
In 2004, Atal Bihari Vajpayee won with more than 2 lakhs votes. So I was just only referring to the Prime Minister, which was claiming to win election by 10 lakh vote, was struggling with 1.52.
Okay, Rajat Sethi, please come
in my opinion.
All right, sir. Allow him. Rajat Sethi, 20 seconds.
Well, my point was simple, that Ashutosh, you wanted to make a hyperbole, which was factually incorrect. And therefore, you need to weigh in when you are saying 3-4 decades may no other prime minister lost or won with such a narrow margin as Prime Minister Modi. I'm just trying to correct it.
All right, fair point. I want to go back. I want to bring in Dr. Syed Zafar Islam into this conversation. He wanted to respond to Ashutosh, so go ahead, sir. But let me also add to it. There's a question now that is being raised, Dr. Islam, especially coming in from the likes of Akhilesh Yadav and other people, other leaders from the opposition, on if the Prime Minister is going to the Kumbh tomorrow. It's the day Delhi votes. So at 11 a.m., the Prime Minister would be taking the holy dip at the Kumbh. Why shy off addressing a massive Kumbh tragedy today in Parliament, where you spoke of so much else? You could have touched on that as well.
Let me respond to both the questions. First of all, I really feel intimidating when somebody who had lost the election is criticizing about the Honorable Prime Minister. Ashutosh ji, I know that he fought the election, he lost it by big margin, and then he's making this kind of statement actually makes me laugh. The Prime Minister has won with a very big margin, and that is something which is behind us, and it's a history. Having said that, now let me respond to as far as the Kumbh is concerned, his Honorable Prime Minister is visiting Prayagraj tomorrow. I'm sure when the time is appropriate, he will speak about it. But you can't expect everything to be spoken on the floor of the Parliament. Prime Minister knows when to speak and what to speak, and he's the best man to know, best man who knows what he needs to speak and what is the best time to speak. So I think you should wait and watch when the Prime Minister speak about the Kumbh tragedy. Having said that, one more thing I would like to highlight, that the Honorable Prime Minister was not criticizing a particular family, but he was trying to highlight or expose a family who pretends and claims many things which they are not. So it is important that he was just trying to narrate the truth, and if truth exposes the family, then maybe it is right for somebody who is responding to on such issues. Then it is important for the Honorable Prime Minister. It was important for the Honorable Prime Minister to raise issues and expose both Congress Party, first family of the Congress Party, and of course the Kejriwal, without naming them, but also people understand that Kejriwal, what he claims, what he pretends, and what actually is the truth is very different. So it is important for him to, if somebody feels that it was primarily because of the election issue, no harm. Political leaders will do politics. If they don't do politics, who else will do the politics? He knows how to navigate in every situation. So if he has spoken something about issues which actually people can relate with, even though it is not, it was not an election speech, but if somebody is able to relate, it's okay. There is no compulsion on anyone not to speak any particular subject. Floor is for them, they have spoken about it.
I'll try and come back to you, because not mentioning Kumbh, many would say smacks of the arrogance of refusing to bring up Manipur when everyone, especially the opposition, and the opposition is legitimate in asking you to speak about a tragedy like Manipur and Kumbh. So that was the point. But I'll come back to you and you can respond on that. But I think Ashutosh, correct me if I'm wrong, you got more votes than Kapil Sibal in 2014, but lost to Dr. Harshvardhan from the BJP. That could also be the reason why he's cut up with the BJP.
No, let's not get into that. Zafar Islam and the Rajat Sethi. See, I'm just trying to learn how to speak on a camera from Rajat Sethi and Zafar Islam.
Okay.
That's the minimum point I'm trying to make here.
I want to go to
what I said it. When the Amit Shah was sitting there, everybody and the whole BJP was trying, the Prime Minister is winning by 10 lakh votes.
Okay.
The margin was
all right, fair point. You made that point.
Itself is
okay, I want to go to Madhu Gaur Yashki, but Rajat Sethi, you wanted to come in 30 seconds and then I'll go to Madhu Gaur Yashki.
No, I don't. I mean, again, I go back to a simple fact. Prime Minister, I think he's the only political leader that Free India has seen who has been consistently winning elections for 30 long years.
Fair point, yes.
I mean, do not teach politics to him. Let's just stay away from that. At least I am not equipped enough to comment on his politics.
I want to bring in Madhu Gaur Yashki, who's been patiently listening to you both. Madhu Gaur Yashki, the fact is, you've turned around and you've said that the Prime Minister hasn't or should have touched on various issues where it comes down to the economy and where India is right now, fiscal prudence, all of that. But the Prime Minister did, yes. there was politics involved. Yes, it was an election speech in a lot of ways, but then, that's politics. You're on the eve of Delhi elections and he has that opportunity. But he did lay down the path of or the vision that the BJP has. He elucidated in terms of data on the accomplishments of his government. He also said this is only the third term. He actually spoke of Viksit Bharat till 2047.
Priti, we talked about Viksit Bharat of 2047. You need to have 8.9% growth to achieve that. Now we are at 5.4 or 7. That's not possible. Without inclusive growth, without concentrating on rural economy, employment creation and manufacturing sector, you cannot have an Viksit Bharat. Your foreign policies failed. You have strained relations with your neighbors. What Mr. Rahul Gandhi has said, I think Rajat may not be knowing it. I traveled with Mr. Gandhi to various countries. He is a leader of opposition. After becoming leader of opposition, when he traveled to the US, the US, India ambassador to the US been instructed, Council General instructed not even meet leader of opposition and instructed them to not to organize any meetings for him. Mr. Gandhi never speak about the country in foreign soil. And Mr. Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister travels across the world and talks about opposition and attacks the opposition in foreign soil, which is uncalled for. His foreign policies failed. What he mentioned is, why even have to beg for an invitation? Prime Minister claims to be closest to Mr. Trump and he didn't even get an invitation. Today, over 205 Indians been deported. Why can't the Foreign Affairs Minister involved to persuade the US government to have here those, even if they are entered illegally, there's a provisions for them to be stay in that country. He never used that, his personal stature for Indians in the US. So it's the whole, one quick point here, Preeti, his vision, he did not envision his vision for achieving Viksit Bharat. He didn't address the MSP double up to the farmers. He didn't address those 2 crore jobs which he promised. His failed demonetization, now the cash is again available in the market. So he has not listed his third term. How is he going to achieve it?
But Dr. Islam,
other than listing laundering his previous achievements.
Okay, fair point. Fair point. Dr. Islam, you have a 10-second rebuttal.
I think,
and I need to close the show.
I think they have a fixated approach that only 8% growth alone can make India a Viksit Bharat.
Okay.
No. What it takes to become a developed nation, your population should be poverty-free population, and that is something which the Honorable Prime Minister is working on.
All right, we're going to.
That is why the 25 crore people have come out of the poverty
Dr. Islam,
line.
I'm completely out of time. I apologize to all 4 of our panelists. Each one of them wanted to come in for a bit, but that's all the time that I have for now.